The Brew House was created to capture and share with you the long history of the Genesee Brewery, but the brewery itself isn't half as interesting as the beer and the people who make it. Visit GeneseeBrewHouse.com. Everyone, and welcome into the original Rochester Press Box presented by the Genesee Brew House. Pleasure to be with you. I'm joined by Kevin Oklobzija, the double-dipping Amherst Red Wings beat reporter for the DNC. Boy, that's a tough job. They're the two most important teams in the market.
It's fun, though. It's a season that never ends. I'll say that.
I guess it is. Mike Catalana, of course, from 13 WHAM News.
Good to be
and Pat
back.
Duffy.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Yeah. Hey, so look, the Rochester, it's an interesting dynamic, I think. The Minnesota Twins are epically bad. The Rochester Red Wings are playing epically well. Why is this happening?
They do have very good prospects, and it remains to be seen how much patience the Twins have. They've never shown much in the past, but right now, if they would just leave the team alone, leave Buxton, leave Kepler, Walker's not going anywhere.
Should they?
Yes, and I will give you 2 reasons. And Gomez is 1, and Hicks is 2. Carlos Gomez they almost ruined and ended up giving him away, losing him, and now he's the player they thought he could be. I mean, he was an MVP candidate a couple years ago. And Aaron Hicks, both guys were rushed. Both guys were jammed into their outfield, and both guys were not ready. Let Buxton play a while here. He's had maybe 80, 90 games now total at Major League and AAA, and they're thinking, oh, boy, we got to get him up here. Kepler, same thing with him. He's not nearly ready. It's his first season in AAA. Just let him get the experience of facing pitchers who know what they're doing.
Idiotic, I would describe the way the Twins have handled their prospects. Like the most clueless organization in all of baseball. They rush these guys from AA to the majors. It continues to fail. Buxton came down as a shell of what he should have been. Totally lost his confidence. And to his credit, as Kevin's mentioned, he's coming around. Let him get a couple hundred at-bats down here. Why they're in such a rush to bring them back up? First of all, I never understand the skipping of AAA. And there's some teams that believe it, but it's not working for them. Now these guys are coming down, and they're a little shaky. A couple of good games, a couple of good weeks doesn't correct that. In baseball, you need a lot of at-bats.
All right, but listen, I mean, we're kind of being selfish here as Rochester people that, yes, we want to see Byron Buxton stay and play for a while. How do you explain to fans in Minnesota who you've been selling this guy, Byron Buxton could be the guy for the next 10, 15 years?
Is he going to sell tickets there?
I mean, I don't know.
Right now, this year, no. They're going to be bad with him. They're going to be horrible with him or without him.
I agree with you 100%.
So let the season die.
Yeah, but I think it's hard to sell to the casual baseball fan, hey, we're going to let this season die. This kid's really, really good, and you're going to like him.
And you're going to love him next year when he's ready to hit 280, 290, steal some bases. Not right now when he's going to strike out 4 of every 7 at-bats like he was to start the year.
It's easy to say when you have a baseball cap on. It's not easy to say when you have a tie and you're trying to sell tickets in your front office.
You know, to Mike's point, this is still largely the same people that are running the Twins.
Oh,
forever. Used to be the model organization. They did everything right.
Well, look at the prospects they have. They've done fine finding guys. Barrios. Their pitchers are, but they're in such a state of disarray right now. They're going to make trades in July. Maybe that's the time to bring guys up. After you move some veterans, be it Plouffe, be it Dozier, if you can find value for them, whoever it may be, then let these kids come up. But now is not the time.
Is this the season of realization for them, do you think? I mean, did they look at themselves in the mirror and say, we kind of screwed this up?
Well, and it's screwed up because they thought last year was reality, where last year was everything fell into place and it was more of a fluke. That they guys that aren't used to getting timely hits, 2-out hits, driving in runs in that situation, were doing it all the time. They went 20-7 in May or something like that. Suddenly they're in a chase for a wild card spot. They weren't going anywhere, but the idea of being in a playoff race, people thought, okay, it'll just continue and guys will be even better this year, and they're not. They have holes in their bullpen that they're bigger than the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, well, go see them because I know as we air this, they're hitting the road again. But when they come back, I says, as long as they got these guys, go see them because it's a fun team to watch.
Very.
We're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills next when the original Rochester Press Box continues. over 25 years, Hillside Work Scholarship Connection has empowered youth to embrace their dreams of college and careers. Thanks to a dedicated staff and employment partners, every year Hillside helps more than 4,000 young men and women move closer to their life goals. The Buffalo Bills Quote of the Week was brought to you by the Rochester Geico Office. Give the Rochester Geico team a chance to see how much you could save on all your insurance needs. Call or stop by the office on West Henrietta Road, open Monday through Saturday. Quote of the Week from Geico Rochester. Man, this has got more mileage out of than anything I recall being said out of Buffalo.
Well, because he's talking about an issue that goes way above his pay grade, and it's the league. And I think he's going to hear from the league on this because they've got these lawsuits. The NFL has done multiple things that are suspicious when it comes to player safety. And then to have a general manager saying human beings shouldn't be playing this game we're selling. There's times to be honest. Your wife says to you, how do I look in this outfit, right? Whatever it is, there's a time to be honest. That's not a time to be honest. That's not what he should be saying, I think, because, you love it.
Well,
I know you love it.
It's not that I love it. It's like, is he shocking anybody? Was somebody yesterday for the first time like, wait a minute? Football's a dangerous sport. He was sticking up for his guys.
He didn't say football is a dangerous sport. He
Human
said
beings shouldn't be playing.
shouldn't
I
play.
agree with what he's saying. And if you have the whole quote, which, by the way, nobody has used, it's in the context of sticking up for guys that are hurt, where he's saying essentially everybody gets hurt at one point. These guys aren't China dolls. No human being should be playing this sport. It's too violent.
So this portion of the original Rochester Press Box is brought to you by our friends at the Hillside Family of Agencies. So the Bills make news in addition to saying that, which I agree with you, by the way. It's factual. You look at a knee, it wasn't meant to play football.
Yeah, but
it wasn't meant to do a lot of things.
I know.
We're not talking about a knee, though.
But I don't think he was dealing with concussions.
I know, but the league's not talking about a knee.
Here's what's refreshing and why I think this is okay for the NFL. If you want to have problems with somebody, have problems with a guy like, I don't know, Bill Pucko, and I use him as an example for everybody of his era, who used guys knowing that they were damaging their bodies strictly to win football games. It sounds to me in this.
Well, what coach didn't?
But exactly. Yes,
I don't know if it may have changed a little now, but what coach didn't
I'm
for
using,
how many years?
and I don't mean to use Polian as but you know what I'm saying, standing in for him. It sounds like Whaley legitimately cares about his guys when he's defending him like this. You think I'm wrong?
No, I think he's sticking up for the fact that he drafted a guy, used a second draft pick for him. The guy is nicked up a lot. And I think he's a tough kid, but he's out a lot. And I think that was the main reason for it.
Whaley is one of the few GMs who has actually played this game at a very high level. I mean, how many guys in the league have NFL or D1 college experience? Whaley knows the bumps and bruises. Whaley knows what it's like to wake up after a game. I feel like people are vilifying him when he was trying to be a good person about it.
Yeah, Ozzie Newsome knows, and he would never say
Okay,
that.
but there's like 4 guys. Just 4. And by the way, Ozzie Newsome ran that team out of Cleveland. Nobody wants to talk about how terrible Ozzie Newsome is. He's great. He's in Baltimore.
Well, then I'll pass it to you because you're
The Ravens are all right, though.
the beat writer for a couple of sports organizations. You don't get manipulated to the extent that the Buffalo Bills are trying to manipulate the coverage of the media in what you do.
Well, I mean, the idea that you can't tweet anything, and I'll say this. I've said it forever since I went to the Vikings training camp as a kid in Mankato, and after a half hour said, all right, let's go, because this is really boring. Nothing happens. But what would have happened the year that, who am I trying to think of, the player that got hurt?
Well, that's a quarterback. Flutie got hurt,
but also there was that was it. Was that the hit?
On the hit by, no, it was J.P. Lossman got hit by Troy Vincent.
That's what it is. Troy Vincent's hit. So could we not say that if you were at camp that day?
Well, they're not saying training camp. They're saying closed practices because those are open practices.
No, they had open practices to the public. You still, I believe their policy said you still couldn't.
But the guy behind you in the stands can.
Yes. So my question was, can I retweet a fan?
Yeah, let me check what I'm allowed to say as I go to the next point. It's a ridiculous point. They are getting roasted as they should. You can control certain aspects of the media. Some of it is nonsense. Some of what we all talk about at practice, there's only a percentage of people that care. But you do have a right as a reporter to say it. I mean, when they're saying, be more general, don't quote stats of players. You cannot control that aspect of it with reporters. It was a flawed idea in the beginning. No one is really going to pay attention to it, in my opinion. I think people are still going to do and say what they want. And then the other part is just, if you're not at practice, you can say whatever you want, and you have a lot of people paying attention to you. So it's totally flawed. It was poorly handled.
Isn't there someone in that building that can recognize that as being a bad look before they just release this thing?
I would hope so. and it got rightfully panned like a bad Adam Sandler movie. I mean, it was atrocious. It was poorly done.
You mean any Adam Sandler movie?
Adam Sandler's done some nice work.
They deserve to get crushed for this. And I like some of the guys. I don't know exactly where this came from, but it can't be implemented. And they're getting crushed from local level all the way up to, Adam Schefter or anybody from ESPN. They're all crushing them. I'm saying it's silly.
And it violates the rules that are in place for media access. So it's the rules that the league and the
I sense someone's going to disagree with me here.
Oh, no, I mean, listen, you're right. Everything is, this rule is ridiculous. That being said, I think the Bills, in keeping these guys, just like you said, from live tweeting everything that's happening in practice, is saving some of these reporters from themselves. Because some of you guys, when you're tweeting absolutely everything that happens, and I'm not using you as an example.
Well, there are people that are tweeting plays. I'm thinking, who cares?
Well, I see 30 of them
do
every
fans
30
care?
seconds.
So then let the guy tweet them. It's not hurting anybody. And please, do we really believe we're giving away some state secrets? Have you watched this team for the last decade?
If Sammy kept dropping passes, they're just not going to cover him because he's going to drop it. That's what the opponent's going to think, right?
Or just close the practices. I mean,
you're not supposed to say a guy's dropping passes.
We've had years of that. And during the regular season, just so fans know, during the regular season, it's only Wednesdays. You're only there basically for the stretching portion, some individuals. You can kind of see who's dressed, who's going to practice. And then they have to tell you anyhow at the end of the day, so you don't see a lot at that point.
This portion of the original Rochester Press Box was brought to you by the Hillside family of agencies. Like it or not. As we go to break, it is time for the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Is called Turnbull at 343-2005. As we come back from the break, time for the answer to the Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning Trivia Question of the Week. When you're searching for a local heating and air conditioning contractor, look no further than one of the most reliable teams in the area at Turnbull Heating and Air Conditioning. Just call 343-2005. See New York in a whole new way. Amtrak is offering a 15% discount for all travel inside New York State and Montreal. Visit Amtrak.com for the See New York discount. Safe, comfortable, affordable, and easy. Amtrak. Enjoy the journey. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box, presented by the Genesee Brew House. This portion brought to you by Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Like it or not, Kevin, the Belmont Stakes this year.
A lot of intrigue is gone now that Nyquist got beat and isn't even going to run in it. So, it's what it is.
There
and
it is.
The general public, the general sports fan is going to pay very little attention, really, because we had a Triple Crown winner last year. There was excitement. American Pharoah, people wanted to see this horse. They wanted to watch the race. They wanted him to win. He did. All right, we had a Triple Crown winner. Oh, yeah, the Derby winner, he's not running. Who cares?
If Nyquist...
And I like horse racing.
Yeah, and you love it.
The problem is it was not a good ride in the Preakness by Mario Gutierrez.
If Nyquist wins the Preakness, do they still pull him out of the Belmont?
Depending how, I don't know. As long as he came out of the race fine, and they're saying he's sick, that's why, high white blood count or something. So, but if it's hard not to chase history. I mean, there's the bonus. It's a lot of money.
Did you guys see the tweet from the horse? The horse tweets. They tweet for the horse. Like it says Nyquist, and then it is a tweet like the horse said this in a tweet. What the heck is that all about? The horse's tweet. I mean, look, you can't just say like I'm his trainer. Like, I don't feel good today,
With
Mike.
those shoes
That's
on.
another reason to like tweeting.
You want to run in this crap?
Mike, like it or not, the Amerks changed coaches.
Do I like it? I'm going to have to give him the benefit of the doubt as the coach. I didn't like the setup they had for Randy Cunningworth. I didn't like this whole idea of making him the good soldier for the year. Randy can coach. It was a terrible setup of a roster this year. He got let down by the veterans. And unless they change the way they do this roster, every other coach is going to have about the same result.
Oh, and I don't think there's any doubt this team he'll have the personnel to win.
Did Randy deserve
Just
better
like
from
John
the
Tortorella
organization?
had the personnel to win his first year. John Muckler was not going to have his guy come here and fail. And I don't think that's going to happen this time.
Did Randy deserve better?
Absolutely. But he knew the situation. Yeah. He took the job knowing that it's a one-year deal. If we win the Calder Cup, Tim Murray told me, if they win the Cup, we would have reevaluated probably. But short of that, develop the players, which they knew was going to happen. In many ways, Randy was doing the job he does. Yeah. And he's back into his player development and just, roving instructor, whatever kind of the role he has, and that's what he's going to do now.
This portion of the original Rochester Press Box brought to you by our friends at Amtrak Trains. Enjoy the journey. Unfinished Business is next. The Rochester Press Box Stat of the Week, brought to you by Cariglio's Pizza, with 5 locations serving the Rochester area. Visit carigliospizza.com today.
The urban eclectic alternative, 100.9 FM, WXIR.
Extreme independent radio, Rochester, New York.
Sip into summertime with Dunkin's Frozen Colada. Free up the flavors of summer with a blue raspberry or any other small frozen colada for only $1.99. America runs on Dunkin'. Welcome back. This portion of the original Rochester Press Box presented by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. It's unfinished business. Go ahead, Pat.
Let's talk about a player who only knows himself, right? Because you never really know how injured somebody is. Only the guy who is hurting can tell you how he feels. Like, for example, Matt Harvey, going into the playoffs last year, pitching for the Mets, said, listen, I don't want to push my arm too far. I pitched no innings the season before, coming off of surgery. He ended up pitching somewhere around 230 innings last season, and when he said he didn't want to pitch in the playoffs, the New York media and the fans rained down on him. How dare you? Be a man. We're paying you to pitch, and they went and got a pennant, which is great. Until this season, when he's been a complete tire fire. His ERA over 6, if I'm not mistaken, and by the time this makes it on television, he could be on a rehab stint because his arm is hurt. I'm going to say this. This guy knew that there would be an issue if he overpitched himself. And he did because the fervor from the media and the fans was so loud, he had no choice. Now, those same people are lighting him up for not being the same pitcher that he was last season. How do you not see that he tried to warn you this could happen? And maybe moving forward, we should be listening to guys a little bit more about their own bodies instead of calling their masculinity into question.
And we love to tear people down.
Well, I do, but this is a different case.
Everybody does.
What are you going to talk about then? So, baseball's been around a long time, but now for next season, the powers that be apparently are going to change the strike zone and they're going to raise it a little bit because they don't like all these strikeouts and they don't think there's enough action because the game moves too slowly, so they want more action during the part of the game where there's actually supposed to be action. So they're going to raise the strike zone to the top of the knees, which means there will be more hits and there will be games that last about 3 hours and 45 minutes because balls will be going all over the ballpark because pitchers can no longer get a low strike, which induces ground balls more often than not, or swings and misses. I don't like where the game is going to go. I don't want to see 15-12. I'm fine with 5-2.
I really think it's about where it ought to be. I'm enjoying the game this year.
I do too. The only thing I don't like about the strike zone, on ESPN, when they put that strike zone into the picture during live play, I can figure out what to strike. You want to show me afterward whether it was or not, but I hate that diagram now.
He told somebody to get off his lawn.
I take back everything I said about you.
Somebody, it was you. Who are you trying to kid?
Yeah, we did a couple of stories this week, and I love this part of the job, following these young athletes as they're trying to move to the next level. And we've had a lot of guys, different levels. In fact, just, watching, obviously, Ryan Callahan and Brian Giunta through years in the NHL. But these are two guys, both from Rochester, both left home, both are on the verge of not just going to their sports, but going big time to their sports. One is Thomas Bryant, basketball player, Bishop Kearny, left to go down to West Virginia, went to Indiana, going back for his senior year. This young guy is likely to be a lottery pick in a year. He has improved his game tremendously. Watched him work out the other day. He's got the size. He's got the work ethic. I think he's got that opportunity to be our first NBA guy since John Wallace. The other guy is Gavin Hall. We've been following him forever. His final year to play is going to be next year at Texas as we're getting ready for them to play in the NCAA championship. His plan to play next year, hopefully make the Walker Cup team, represent the United States, and then turn pro. One guy to the PGA, one guy to the NBA, two guys we can follow.
That's, isn't it the most gratifying part about covering local sports is when you latch onto a guy that you know is going to be good and you watch him go?
You hope they're going to get to that level. Some guys
Golf
kind
is
of
like
come out of the
baseball,
blue.
though. You got to start at the lower pro level. Once you and then you get to the. I mean, there are
depends.
exceptions, obviously.
There are guys
exceptions.
who can get on the tour, enough sponsors exemptions, make enough money, they get on there. They never go below that.
This portion of the original Rochester Press Box presented by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Kevin, pleasure having you back in again. Thanks a lot.
It's been great to be here.
And guys, good job.
You too?
Yeah.
Guys. You need the names, right? You're gonna pull the big time on me. I don't know what to say. Pat Duffy, Mike Catalana, thank you very much. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week with the original Rochester Press Box.